I want to test some of the fastest ways to cook a roast chicken. I've always thought roasting a chicken takes an hour and a quarter, 90 minutes, but when I found this recipe to cook a roast chicken in 45 minutes, well, I had to give it a go. So here is my 1.4 kilo chicken. It's untrussed, so the air is going to circulate, and the recipe specifically requests we untruss it. It's also been out of the oven for about an hour. So it's had time to sort of come up to room temperature. It's been covered and sealed, so shouldn't have been attacked by anything. So a couple of properties that Delia's tips for success. Make sure your oven is on as hot as it will go, and have the chicken already rested. She does advise flavouring it with tarragon and so forth, but I'm going to keep it plain just to try things out. So let's get a roasting pan and just get it in the oven. So here's my roasting dish. Just a little oil on there. Keep it from burning on the bottom, I imagine. And then very simply, going to add oil to the skin of the bird. All over. Just tucking the legs in, and then we season it. And just to be on the safe side, I'm also going to keep a probe in it. My Ninja Pro Chef, not sponsored, remote probe thermometer. So I'm going to insert this to the thickest part of the breast and keep an eye on it on my phone. Now, the Food Standards Agency in the UK say that chicken needs to hit 70 degrees C for 2 minutes. You can have lower temperatures for longer times, but this, I'll flash up what the Food Standards Agency in the UK say. Things may vary slightly in your country, and it also varies according to the provenance and quality of the food you buy. So I'm going to leave that in there, monitoring the temperature all the way. So we'll soon see if that does its job. But for now, into the oven. And this is a recipe from Delia Smith. If you don't know who she is, she pretty much ruled TV cookery in the UK through 70s, 80s and 90s. I know she tests her recipes to destruction. So I set a timer going at the same time as I put the chicken in the oven, and it says, and my timer has about 34 minutes to go, my thermometer software reckons it'll hit temperature in 29 minutes. We're on par, we are on course. Of course, will it be cooked throughout the legs and everywhere? We can only find out. And while that chicken is in the oven, let's look at another method that claims to cook a chicken in 18 minutes. This is from a recipe from Ned Baldwin, who does all kinds of experiments in the kitchen. It's got a couple of things here that we need to get ready. We're going to need to spatchcock it, and we're going to need to salt it. And I'm a fan of both of these techniques, so I've got a feeling this might work. So part of the success in this recipe lies in getting the smallest bird you can. This is 1.2 kilos, 100 grams smaller than the other one we've put into the oven. Similarly, I'm going to unbind it. Now, spatchcocking is removing the backbone of the bird so you can open it out. It's pretty straightforward, only limited by the fact if you're squeamish about handling raw meat at all, but it's very easy. You can see the base of the spine is just poking out here, so it'll be dead easy to down one side and then cut down the other. Obviously, these shouldn't be the scissors you wrap presents with. I have a pair of scissors dedicated to doing stuff in the kitchen. You can get proper poultry shears too, but I don't do it often enough to be worthwhile. And if you're making a stock anytime soon, pop that in there, and that will give you a little bit of meat, fatty skin, the bones. Don't throw it away. He also says, if possible, to remove the ribs. I've never done that before, so I'm going to have a very tentative go here. Oh, actually, now that the backbone is gone, that was quite easy. I don't want to take off too much extra meat. So there we go now, we've got a flattened out bird. Much less surface area, and so that is ready for salting. So I'm going to use a set of scales here so I can get the salt as we are instructed. Well, that's interesting. I bought a 1.2 kg bird. I've taken out that much, and I've got a 1.27 kg bird. And so I'm going to add 1% of the 1.1% of the chicken's weight to this bowl. Just tipping it all sides to make sure it's completely covered. So then I'm going to pop that on a rack. Now that it's salted inside and out thoroughly, I'm going to put this in a tray. And I'm going to leave that uncovered in the fridge for a couple of hours, where the salt will start to draw out some of the moisture in the bird and be reabsorbed back into it, so we get seasoning throughout. That's going to go for a couple of hours, maybe 4 hours, and then we can carry on the cooking. So my timer still has 10 minutes to go, but my thermometer says it's at 70 degrees. So I'm going to take a look. Let's get her out of the oven. Well, it's certainly a lovely golden colour. I'm going to use an actual probe to check. And this part of the breast is nearly 80 degrees. They've got very thin thighs on this particular bird, sadly, but they're in the 90s. So, and where they join, you can often find a cold spot. I'm going to say that's done at 35 minutes. I'm going to cancel my timer. A decent skin, but Delia recommends that we rest for 20 minutes. And of course, all the juices and fats inside that bird are sort of bubbling around, and we just need those just to calm down, and we should end up with much more tender meat. So let's pop that on a board for 20 minutes. And so our Delia chicken has had about 20 minutes to rest. Let's pop the lid off. And I mean, it looks the part. It's that lovely golden brown colour that you want. The addition of that olive oil has helped there. Let's start by taking the whole breast off. I'm going to cut into the thigh there. So it's definitely moist. It's also definitely cooked. You probably picked up on a small pinky bit down there, but that's more one of those tendon things. It's not a truly uncooked piece of chicken. But let's take a big slice off this breast and take a look. So it's that lovely ivory colour. It's leaving grease marks on the plate, so that tells me it's not terribly dry. So we have lovely moist, juicy flesh. The dark meat, still got that stickiness. I assure you it's totally cooked through. The skin is crisp and it's perfectly tasty because it's been seasoned throughout. And what I like about that is it takes chicken from something only reserved for the weekends when you have time to cook to something that actually is possible in the week. I'd understand if you don't want to do a full Sunday chicken roast dinner at the end of a work day. But you have a chicken that you could then serve with a baguette, that you could serve with a salad, that you could cook up ready for lunches for the next few days. And then obviously you get lovely carcass that you can turn into a delicious stock. So that's our 35 minute chicken, with the advantage of getting the oven as hot as you can go and making sure it's been laid out on the side for a little while to come up to room temp. I wonder how the 18-minute chicken is going to do. So my spatchcock chicken has had a couple of hours in the fridge, chilling out. I'm just patting it dry, getting all the surface moisture off. And then we're going to very quickly pan fry the skin side just for 3 minutes, just to get things moving, and then straight into the oven. Again, I will use my probe to help me out so I can keep an eye on it remotely. And yeah, and I'm almost certainly going to switch over to voiceover now, because this is going to make a lot of smoke and a lot of noise, so I'm going to have to put my fan on, but you'll hear from me in just a sec. So I've got quite a bit of oil on the base of that pan. I'm just going to lower that in gently so that it doesn't splash. And I'm just going to heat it there for 3 minutes. 3 minutes later, you can see it's turning a golden blonde colour. We're not truly browning it at this stage. It's going to carry on cooking on this skin side. So after those 3 minutes are up, I'm going to transfer it to the oven and allow it to cook low down on the oven. The recipe also, to be fair, says it could take between 18 and 30 minutes depending on how much deboning has been done. Obviously I did remove those ribs, but I didn't remove the entire breastplate, so we'll have to see how it does. And my alarm has gone off, which says 18 minutes, but my internal temperature probe says it's still 48 degrees C inside the bird. We are not there yet, and reckons there's maybe 10 minutes to go, but we'll see. So 4 minutes later, and my probe monitor is suggesting it's now in the early 60s, 62, 63 degrees centigrade, and it's been there for a couple of minutes, so it should be safe now. So I'm going to whip it out. Well, there we go. It is really important to probe it all over when we're cooking at such fast speeds and check that it's a safe temperature, hitting mid-60s everywhere all over the bird. I'm expecting some really golden skin as that's been sort of sat there in that juice frying away. If you don't have one, I really recommend picking up a probe thermometer. This is a fairly decent thermopen, but you can pick up some very cheaply online. I'll pop a link down below. Probe thermometer is the best way to ensure your food is cooked the same way each time and safely. I'm just going to flip that over. Whoop. I'll be honest, I was expecting a more deep golden colour in that. I thought that sitting breast down in that fat would get more colouring. We've got a little bit on the wingtips here where it's really concentrated, but the breast itself is just a pleasant gold. That's what I can say. Now the recipe does not call for resting, surprisingly. So just to recap, we actually went to 22 minutes to cook this bird to a safe temperature, according to my probe, all over. Let's take a proper look inside. Very tender. It's more tender than the Delia recipe we just went through. And let's try a bit now. Yeah, that really has it, you know, that deep salting all over really penetrates it. And I'm a big fan of what we call dry brining now. We used to call it curing, but for some reason we call it dry brining now. It's really tasty and it's just such an efficient way to get flavour into meat in particular. It works great on steaks and other cuts of beef, and it works great on poultry too. Just a dusting of flour, leave it uncovered in the fridge for at least a couple of hours before cooking. You'll get huge flavour benefits, and the moisture in here from cooking it so fast is absolutely unreal. Really, really tasty. So there we have two techniques for roasting chicken really fast, and I think they both worked really well. If you're up for it, spatchcock the bird and you can have it on the table ready to go in half an hour. Or if you don't fancy that, get it out the fridge a little early, preheat the oven super hot, and you can roast it really hard, really hot for 35 to 45 minutes. Editing Spud here. I was just reflecting on the total time taken to cook, because it's not the full story, of course. It's not just the time spent cooking. If you look at Delia's method, then you have 2 minutes of prep time just to salt and oil the bird. It then needs 60 minutes out of the fridge to come up to temperature. My version took 35 minutes to cook, yours might take 45, and then 20 minutes resting time. This gives us a total cooking time, start to finish, of 117 minutes, just under 2 hours. Meanwhile, Ned Baldwin's method, you're going to spatchcock the chicken, which could take 2 minutes, could take 10 minutes, depending how experienced you are at it. And then you need to leave it in the fridge for 2 hours, and then cook it for, in my case, 22 minutes, and then it doesn't need any resting. That's a total time of 152 minutes for me, which is significantly longer, but it's worth bearing in mind, for both of these recipes, there's an awful lot of hands-off, idle time whilst you're cooking. Anyway, back to me. But what's really key is that you use a temperature probe to be absolutely sure that you are safe and eating well. If you enjoyed that, I think you'll like this video where I looked at Marco Pierre White's technique for a roast chicken. And if you know any other roast chicken techniques, I'd love to hear about them down below.